I've said this before, I really do like a lot the colors at dusk. And so forgive me if I'm sitting a little bit askew today. I just want to share those changing colors with you yet again. Tonight, two topics, one challenge to get this done in under 12 minutes. So welcome to Arm Wrestling with COVID-19 in London. This is number 26. You might well recall that a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago, in one of my episodes, I wondered when would the houses of worship in England start opening up. And I referred to the task force that was negotiating this with the minister in charge. And I was asking myself pretty much, isn't it not time to act on this brief as well? Well, guess what? Churches, in my case, but also houses of worship, will start to open up gradually, slowly, in a phased manner as of Monday, the 15th of June. So that is great. And if you need to know, or you'd like to know a little bit more about it, then on Sunday, the 14th of June, Canon Christopher Thomas, that's Father Chris for many of us, who is the General Secretary of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of England and Wales, will be in conversation on the BBC Radio 4 Sunday program, where I suspect he will explain a little bit more about the procedure and what does it mean opening churches and houses of worship. And as a little bracket, let me also say something else. When I spoke last time about this, I talked about how fearful people were, I suppose not only the government, but also the faithful, about contamination, about going into a church and then contracting this virus because of people coming together. Well, guess what? Two things. One, the gradual phased opening of churches means that it will start with individual prayers. That is, a man or a woman can go sit in one of the pews, meditate, say a prayer, light a candle, whatever, but there will still not be communal celebrations and fellowships. I suppose that will come later. But the interesting thing also is that following the earlier episode, a friend of mine made a comment. He said, Harry, it's not only a question of coming together, sitting next to each other in a house of worship. It's also, for instance, in churches, what happens if you're singing? Now that is quite dangerous when you're singing out loud and you're opening and closing your mouth and some droplets might come out. If you carry the virus, that's dangerous. What if you're leaving the church or leaving the mosque or going out of a synagogue? How are you going to manage that so that there isn't that big rush at the end, which means people are walking, people are cheek by jowl almost, and therefore the levels of danger increase or mount up? Things to think about a little bit, and I suspect Father Chris will talk about them on the Sunday program with BBC Radio 4, and I'm not sure who the presenter is going to be this coming Sunday. It could be Ed Sturton, it could be William Craig, it could be Emily Buchanan. So, sorry, I said William Craig. That is William Crawley. So it's really interesting, I think, at least for me, to listen to him and see what he's got to say, because he accompanies the Cardinal to those task force meetings. End of topic 1, rushing into topic 2. A few days ago again, I was in a supermarket and I bought a pack of 6 bottles of mineral water as well as some other stuff to take home. Now, I walked to the supermarket on the way in, but there was no way I was going to carry 3 bags and walk all the way back to my flat. So what did I do? I said, time to use public transport. So I waited, being careful to be about 6 feet away from the other people waiting for the buses. And when my bus came, I went into the bus, and it was one of those buses that hadn't yet reinstalled the Oyster card thingy bobbers, whatever you call them, the touch things. Anyway, I went in there, and guess what? Went in there thinking that there will be all the physical distance that is required. And no. A lot of the people, first of all, were not wearing masks. All the seats, there were passengers sitting in each and every one of those seats of the bus. So a lot of people were standing. And those who were standing, who were pretty much standing next to each other. And I thought to myself, this is wrong. Somebody had told me that it'll be a maximum of 20 passengers and then no more. And of course, then people started shouting, people started saying, this is dangerous, etc., etc. And I thought to myself, this is a nightmare. If you've been in a bus, you know what I'm talking about. If you've been in a train in the morning going to work, you probably also know what I'm talking about. But this is dangerous. These are the kinds of things that the government has to take care of. And when I see what is happening across, at least across London, I just wonder if we're not observing those physical distances, are we in the process of preparing ourselves for another peak? I hope not. I really hope not, because it will be a disaster. It will be a disaster for our economy. It will be a disaster for our NHS. It'll be a disaster for us all. So there you have it. From houses of worship to public transport, all this, let me check, in under 12 minutes, definitely. So have a nice end of week. Please stay safe. Think of yourself, think of your family, think of your friends, and think of all the people in your neighborhood, on your street, in your borough. Take care.